We're going to continue from the iron law of oligarchy, and we're going to think about this thesis if kind of inside of the very nature of democracy, it becomes something that purports to eliminate elite rule, but it's really inherent inside of the system. And let's go over here a couple contemporaries and what they're saying about oligarchy. And again, we don't talk about it at the university system. You've heard it thrown out here and there, sort of seeds planted in the news, this word, but we're never quite sure exactly what it means, who these people are, do they have agendas? So it's used, again, without very much precision or consensus. But let's just go over, I'm not going to go over each name in terms of who they are. They tend to be a handful of analysts and pundits of note. So let me just read over a couple recent comments. Thomas Pinckney would say that oligarch is real and there's very little reason for optimism. Again, we don't know exactly what it means, but it's not something we should be optimistic about. But oligarchy is very real. Robert Herbert, this is interesting here. 1/4% of the population controls access. So again, that figure, the top 10% or the top 10%, no, he said one slice of 1% controls access. Access to what? Well, when you think about oligarchy, you control the marketplace, you control the politics. So he's talking about, not 1 in 100. At best, we're talking about less than 1 in 1,000 who truly have control of the access here. Jeffrey Winters, oligarchy and democracy operate within a single system. American politics is a daily display of their interplay. And this is what I was getting to last time. I think there's this false dichotomy. Either you have socialism or you have capitalism or you have a democracy or you have an oligarchy, that these things by their very nature function together. And until we start to think about it that way, we won't be able to identify what oligarchy is, and we won't be able to identify actors in the deep state, and we will have no sense of an agenda. And certainly our place in the political universe and the cosmos in general is going to be displaced if we don't start making sense that there perhaps is a battlefield and that we're participants, like it or not, in the battle, if we want to think about it that way. But again, oligarchy and democracy operate within a single system. American politics, if you're one that likes to watch this on television, I don't necessarily care for it, but when you start thinking about it that way, think about the security state, think about Hans Morgenthau, think about Carl Schmitt, think about Giorgio Agamben. There's the visible and the invisible, and we see this play at it. But that it's kind of coming to the fore now. It's still supposed to be this sort of mysterious thing that just really confuses us and, is not super empowering because we know it's there. We know we don't really have all the, sort of control, our vote as we maybe thought we had. But what we're kind of getting to is, can we actually see and develop a programmatic way of assessing this and thinking about it? And again, what I'm suggesting here is we have to step outside of some of the assumptions at the university system about democracy being not only the dominant, perhaps the only way we can analyze this system. That the idea that most decisions occur at the national level for the benefit or the interest of the nation as a whole. This idea that history itself is some sort of accident and that these oligarchs are not central players in sort of creating and orchestrating many of the events that we see before us. Until we start to think in a systematic way about that, it is very disempowering to learn about this sort of material. So Simon Johnson, the reemergence of an American financial oligarchy is quite recent and the most advanced in the world. So, every